Jesus, baby, Jesus. Giving all praise to Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai B'Shem Kodash. I'm going through this video again. The religious beliefs of the black Hebrew Israelites with Vocab Malone. I'm going to put this up raw. There's a video. The YouTube page is Mike Winger. And I believe he's a pastor out in the West. Anyway, it says, who are they and what do they believe? How do you research them and the gospel of Christ? What is going on with the black Hebrew Israelites? And by the way, you have Israelites that look whiter than this guy right here, Mike Winger. So I don't know why they use the term black Hebrew Israelites. You have the Latin tribe, they're not so-called black. You have Irish, which a number of them are Israelites, which they don't look black. You have Italians from Sicily, southern Italy, and northern Italy too, because you know Rome, ancient Rome was a great melting pot. It was a metropolis, so you had a lot of mixing of Israelites dealing with so-called white women of ancient Rome. So I mean, you literally have Israelites all over the place looking like everybody. Speckled bird. What is that? Jeremiah 12 verse 9. Anyway, it says, let me read this again. It says, who are they and what do they believe? I mean, come on. We're all over YouTube. How do you reach them with the gospel of Christ? Well, we don't believe in Christ. We believe in the Messiah. Hamashiach. What is going on with the black Hebrew Israelites and their sudden rise in power? Yeah, the sudden rise in power is the fulfillment of one of my favorite chapters, Ezekiel 37. Read Ezekiel 37. Read the whole chapter of Ezekiel 37. And I may have to do a reading of Ezekiel 37 again. If somebody else wants to do it, they can go ahead and do it. I'm not going to get mad at you, but you know, a lot of times we read, we'll go to Ezekiel 37 chapter and we'll read maybe half of it. You have to read the whole chapter, because the first thing that Ezekiel sees, he's in a valley of bones. As far as his eyes can see, he sees bones. And he doesn't know, obviously that was a vision. And he doesn't know what the bones represent. And what he finds out is the bones come together and sinews come upon the things that attach the bone from one bone to the other, the sinews. Veins, he sees blood, he sees skin. And this is a vision of the great awakening of the Israelites. And the valley represents America, because the Great Awakening started in America and now it's all over the planet. It's global. And you have GMS camps all over the planet. It said I invited Vocab Malone to talk to us about the group. Well, there's groups. because he has spent countless hours not only, let me continue to read, where am I at? Not only researching the BHI, you should take the B out, but also interacting with them and helping deliver people from the false teachings they have fallen under. Yeah, we was in slavery. That's when we were good with the Most High. That's when we were right with Jesus in slavery. Give me a fucking break. Give me a goddamn break. Because when did we have Jesus? In slavery. If we didn't believe in Jesus, we got hung and whipped. Are you out your fucking mind? I mean, this is laughable. He comes to the conclusion, and helping deliver people from the false teachings they have fallen under. So when we were under, the majority of Israelites, for the most part, almost 100%, 99%, 100%, almost 100%, before they woke up to the fact that they were Israelites, they were so-called Christians that believed in the white Christ. So right here, this guy is saying, and not in exact words, but he's saying that Jesus was white. In order for you to believe, to have the true belief of God, you got to believe that Jesus is white. Because our only experience coming to the realization that we're Israelites is that we are, we were taught mostly by our mothers, went to Christian churches, so our upbringing is Christianity. So the God of Christianity is a so-called white man from Renaissance art. So now let me let you hear these demons.
That as long as I've been a Christian, I never thought Jesus was white, ever.
Okay, that's what he said, right? That's what he said. It says, I'm back here, BHI, but also interacting with them and helping deliver people from the false teachings they have fallen under. So like I said, at one time we were right because we believed in a white Jesus. Any so-called black person that went to church believed the churches that they went to, that they attended on Sundays, which is not the Sabbath, by the way, you had white Jesus. When you prayed, what popped in your head was a white guy that looked like, Caesar Borgia, which lived in the late 1400s. So let's listen to some more.
And I have very little respect for Renaissance artists and their theologies.
Well, that's how you think Christianity got over here. Or white Christianity. It's a Renaissance movement. It's Europeans, Edomites, bringing their form of Christianity to Europe after Jake was taken down. That's in Revelation, the 20th chapter. If you read Revelation, the 20th chapter with understanding, you would understand that that's talking about the Renaissance, which includes Renaissance art. Renaissance meaning back, and Nissan's birth, or born again. So these Edomites came back into power. They're also known as the dragon and the devil. If you want to prove that the so-called white man is the devil, Revelation, the 20th chapter is a scripture that you can go to. And what did they do? They deceived the world through what? First, Christianity. And then an educational system. So So let's listen to some more.
Oh, right. So personally, it's just like, yeah, you're just making stuff up about me. I don't know what you're doing. But, you know, Jesus was Jewish, you know, he's Middle Eastern. But, okay.
Okay, yeah, Jesus was Middle Eastern, he was Jewish, right? Like the so-called white man. Let's talk about these people that are currently in Israel. I'm talking about the white people that call themselves Jews. These were a bunch of Europeans, mostly in Germany and other parts of Europe. After Hitler's reign, they came up with this whole story, which could be partly true. I wasn't there, so I wouldn't know. All I know is this is what they give you, the Jews under Nazi Germany. And that was, we're talking about the 40s. We're talking about as far back as the 30s into the 40s. And you had, in 1948, you said we had to restore, again, the true people to the land of Israel. In 1948, you gathered up a bunch of Europeans, and you, which a lot of them didn't even want to go to. You know, you had to give them rewards to go there, to call yourself fulfilling a prophecy. And these people, when you go into the whole history, these people didn't know Hebrew. They had to learn Hebrew. There's a man, he's famous for this book, the English Hebrew English dictionary. What was his name? Damn, I have the book somewhere in the house. I can't think of his name. Ben Yehudi, which that wasn't his name. He came up with that name. He pretty much had to figure out how do you speak Hebrew, and basically he said, if you do the research on this guy, Ben Yehudi, he basically took Arabic and kind of tweaked it, and there's your Hebrew. So let's listen to some more.
Revelation 1:14 says the hairs, and explains to us how they use it and how you'd respond to it if you would. The hairs of his head were white, like white wool, like snow. His eyes were like a flame of fire.
You notice it said the hairs of his head. The hairs of his head. So he had hairs on his head, hairs on his chin, which we call a beard. It says like white like wool.
Fire. His feet were like burnished bronze, refined in a furnace, and his voice.
Yeah, bronze or brass, depending on what version of the scriptures you read. King James, it says brass, as if it was burned in a furnace. Now, brass and bronze are brown, a caramel brown. It's pretty much like that guitar behind him. On his right, your left. That's a wooden guitar, polished wooden guitar, which looks the color of amber or brass or even bronze. Now, if you took bronze or brass and you put it in the furnace or an oven, you heat it up, it will become darker. Let's listen on.
It was like the roar of many waters.
All right, now.
And then I guess at the end of verse 16 it says his face was like the sun shining in full strength.
Yeah, so I like the ESV. So a lot of them use the KJV, and just by way of comparison, I'll look at it so you guys can see what that says as well.
Sure.
So you can see.
Just a sec here. Make it bigger.
Stop stalling.
Yeah, there it is. His head and hair were white like wool, as white as snow, his eyes like a flame of fire, his feet were like fine brass. Oh, it looks like I lost him. Just a second, y'all.
You head like Moses off the mountain.
Oh, there you go.
Huh?
Are we back? I lost you for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
That was weird.
So they'll gloss over his head was white. His head was white.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it says
Right, it's
that
not
there.
just his hair, but his head too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they'll say, well, that just means it was shining or something. But then the hairs, if you look at all their portrayals, they have a Jesus who's got a hair full of white hair, a head full of white hair.
Right.
And he looks like he's like 65 years old, right? And so sometimes we'll joke around with him and say, man, that is the oldest looking 33-year-old I've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Not that Jesus has to stay looking 33 for eternity, but it's just funny. They're like, here's what Jesus looked like. And like, last we knew of him. But here's what they zoom in on. White like wool. They'll say, who's the only people who have woolly hair on this planet? They'll say the so-called black man. But of course, notice what it says right after it, as white as snow. So obviously it's talking about texture, because it's like, your mom is so fat, how fat is she, right? Well, his hair was so white, how white was it? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
White like wool, as white as snow. And I'll say it's talking about it's not talking about texture, it's talking about color. They'll say no.
Okay, good. If you go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 9, it speaks about the Ancient of Days sitting on the throne. The hairs of his head like the pure wool. Didn't say his hair was white. We can assume that it was white, because it also says in Colossians, I'm not going to go to it, somebody can put it right in the comment section. Colossians, I believe that's 1 verse 15 and 16, and it tells you, it basically tells you that he looked just like his father. Also, St. John chapter 14, I believe it's 8